I want you all to go to freedomwatchusa.org. Take a look at our podcast, our radio show of last Friday, dealing with whether or not, and of course I believe whether is more appropriate, the Biden-Harris regime was responsible for the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Clearly, and there are many people out there who believe that, very prominent people, that will say that at minimum, they created the condition that someone would take a crack at President Trump. And let's not just talk about Butler. Let's go back and investigate what happened well before that at all the other events. Because the way the Secret Service and the FBI and the others are behaving, lying to the American people, covering things up, not wanting the truth to come out, creates more than a strong inference that there was an intent to drop the security, drop the ball, particularly with the threat from Iran that they were going to try to kill President Trump, that someone would take him out. This is crucial, and it must be uncovered. And Freedom Watch has this anti-assassination strike force that we set up that we're going to be doing that, not just Freedom of Information Act requests, but real hard investigation. And then we will put the guilty in front of a citizen's grand jury. We will seek their convictions. We will seek sentencing, and we'll see them put away in prison, hopefully, where the sun don't shine. This is particularly important because we cannot afford to have a situation where the deep state government, this isn't some Tom Clancy novel, actually it is in many ways, that we're dealing with here. We're dealing here with reality, and we're on the verge of going under for the final count. And here we have, and again, I'm not referring to anyone in terms of who you should vote for, who you shouldn't vote for. I don't do that as head of a public interest group. But the reality is, if Kamala Harris becomes president of the United States, this country's gone forever. She's a radical leftist, rampant crime, running across the border, drug traffickers, human traffickers, sex traffickers. You've got the degradation of Judeo-Christian ethics. She could care less about it. She's actually an opponent of Israel. And nobody says that you have to favor Israel over anybody else, but they're our strongest ally, as is Saudi Arabia for that matter. They're not even backing up our ally, Saudi Arabia. They continually to beat up on them and everybody else. So this is very, very important that we get to the bottom of this to put these people in prison. And I firmly believe that Biden, Harris, and the rest of them are behind this attempt to kill President Trump, if not through actual malfeasance, then nonfeasance. They knew that it was going to happen, and they created the condition because Donald Trump was well ahead in the polls at around the time of the attempted assassination. You'd have to have an IQ over 50 not to believe that, believe me. Now let's talk about what's going on with Israel today. Biden isn't telling the Iranians not to attack, or we will attack them, or we'll hold them accountable. He's simply saying, Israel, lay off. So the attack is just minor. He's saying that to Iran, as a matter of fact, and he's saying it to Israel in terms of counter retaliation. This is exactly what he did in Ukraine when he told Putin, okay, just take the western portion, the Donbass, or rather the eastern portion of the Donbass, and that'll be okay. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. This guy is a moron. He's not in charge. He's brain dead. He's a criminal. And Harris, of course, just tags along because she doesn't have the intellect to do much of anything else. It's a very, very dangerous situation. And then, of course, you see the Democrats, the anti-Semitic Democrats, are having a hard time even thinking about nominating Josh Shapiro. Not that I'm a fan of Josh Shapiro, believe me, I'm not, of Pennsylvania, as Kamala Harris's vice presidential candidate. It's because he's Jewish. They don't want a Jew on the ticket. Mark my words, it's not going to happen. And Josh Shapiro, many years ago, came out in favor of the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces. He was going to volunteer. And he also pointed out how a two-state solution would never work in the Middle East, given all the enmity and hatred between the parties today. The Palestinians, and of course we empathize with those that were killed, that got in the way of being human shields, becoming human shields for Hamas. That is extremely sad, but this is war. This is what happens. And the reality here is that the Palestinians in Gaza voted for Hamas, and they would vote for them again. There are good Palestinians for sure. And Gaza, in fact, was the second state. It was the state for the Palestinians. They could have made it into a very nice country. Let's hope that that happens when this war ends, that we have a new administration in Gaza that can build it into that Palestinian state in Gaza. But right now, Biden is giving little to no support to the Israelis. He's showing his yellow colors. He's not threatening Iran. This is a perfect opportunity, if they do strike, if they strike at Israel, for Israel to take out the nuclear reactors and get the job done once and for all. We'll see if Netanyahu has the guts. He talks big, he acts little. But the reality is, now is the time to eliminate the Iranian regime, not the Iranian people, the Iranian regime. Take them out. You know, Israel probably has neutron bombs like we have that give off little to no radiation. Use them now and destroy the nuclear reactors, and let's get on with the job. This is my message for today. We're in a very precarious position. We're on the verge of World War III. The stock market is crashing. Not only do they see a slowdown in the economy and a likely recession on the horizon, but they're also extremely nervous over what's happening in the Middle East, with a president that doesn't even know where he is, and a vice president who's just flitting around the country, you know, like Miss Socialite trying to get elected to the presidency. This is my message for today. Go to freedomwatchusa.org, contribute to our cause with tax-deductible contributions. We are your real Justice Department, not the Gestapo of the Biden-Harris administration, with a FBI director who lies straight up to the American people, and an Attorney General, Merrick Garland, who's even worse. Go there. We need your support, your tax-deductible contributions. We will get to the bottom, and we will prosecute those who are responsible for the attempted assassination of President Trump. And I do believe that it goes right to the doorstep of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. God bless you. God bless America. God save America. And remember, the Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves.